Hi everyone, how you all going? I just got out of seeing Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. It's actually been about 40 minutes since I finished watching it. It took me ages to get out of the car park at my local shopping centre because it's complete chaos. Boxing Day in Australia, complete chaos. So what do I think of the movie? Now, I was a fan of the original Aquaman. I've actually seen it 3 times in total. Not one of my favourite comic book movies of all time, but overall, I am a fan of the original. I actually just rewatched it last week. What did I think of Aquaman 2? It was pretty poor. I'm not going to lie. It was pretty terrible. Not completely terrible, but it did kind of suck. Now, I'll start off with some criticisms, and I'll move into a couple of pros after. First thing to mention, the plot was painfully generic. Okay, painfully generic. It's basically, well, in the first Aquaman, Aquaman kills Black Manta's father, and then in this movie, Black Manta goes after revenge against Aquaman. Which is actually set up as well in the post-credits or the mid-credits scene of the original Aquaman. And then basically in the movie, Black Manta, he finds a black trident, and then he has visions of King Atlan's brother, who was imprisoned he was imprisoned behind ice. So then basically, Black Manta goes after this fuel source, so he can actually melt the ice caps and actually free Atlan's brother. Now, the first criticism, plot was painfully generic. Criticism number 2, too many jokes. Now, the original Aquaman did have a few jokes here and there, but my God, from the very first scene, within the first minute of the movie, just joke after joke after joke. I thought the opening sequence might at least be decent and draw you into the movie, be engaging. No, from the first 30 seconds to 60 seconds, it goes straight into the jokes. A couple of the jokes, people laughed at a little bit, but I wasn't a huge fan of the jokes in this movie. I don't mind some jokes in superhero movies. There's been a few times where I've laughed at jokes in superhero movies. One that comes to mind is actually Thor Ragnarok. I did laugh at quite a few jokes in that movie, but the jokes I didn't find very funny at all. The dialogue was painfully cringe at times, painfully cringe. Some very, very cringe dialogue, like, for example, Black Manta goes to Aquaman, first you steal your brother's throne, and then his woman, and then just very cringe dialogue. And in one scene, Aquaman refers to his brother Orm as Loki. I don't know if it's meant to be a reference to Thor and Loki in the MCU, but again, cringe. I will say, however, the third act was a bit more engaging. I thought the third act was a lot better than the first 2 acts. The third act wasn't perfect by any means, but I thought the third act of the movie was more engaging. It definitely picked up quite a bit. So, I definitely felt more engaged in the third act. The first 2 acts I thought were quite boring. Just joke after joke, very messy writing, messy pacing as well. But I thought the third act, it really picked up. Amber Heard does not have much screen time at all in this movie. She's not completely non-existent in the movie, but she has a lot less screen time in this movie than she does in the first movie. And look, domestic violence aside, with her and Johnny Depp, I thought she was actually okay in the few scenes she had. But a lot less screen time in this movie than the first movie. A lot less screen time. She's not there at all in the second act. She gets comatose, but then she comes back in the third act. But even in the third act, she doesn't have too much dialogue. It's not much dialogue at all. This movie was also very predictable, okay? It was very predictable. At the start of the movie, Aquaman, is the king of Atlantis, and he tells the council, Atlantis should reveal itself to, the surface. They're like, no, we shouldn't do that. We we hate the surface, whatever. And then surprise, surprise, yes, they, eventually they do reveal themselves to Atlantis. I should have mentioned before, actually, this Out of Theatre review does have a few spoilers, but I found the plot quite predictable at times. There was one scene towards the end, I'm not going to spoil what scene it was, where I thought, this is so predictable, but then it actually did surprise me a little bit, so that was slightly good to see. Any pros in the movie? Yes, look, I thought the third act was pretty engaging. Not perfect. There was an overabundance of CGI. The CGI I don't think was too bad. It was definitely better than The Flash. But the third act definitely had a lot of CGI, an overabundance of CGI. But I thought the third act was pretty engaging. I thought Orm's character development was very, very good. That was definitely one pro of the movie. Definitely one pro was that I thought Orm, so Patrick Wilson's character, had very good character development. I thought he was actually a standout in some scenes. But yeah, not a very good movie. Too many jokes, bad pacing. First 2 acts were quite boring, in my opinion. This is not a good way to end the DCEU. And on top of that, the mid-credit scene, which is actually the final scene in the DCEU, was painfully cringe. Painfully cringe. And the sad thing is, it's actually the final scene in the entire DCEU. And yeah, the mid-credits, or the post-credits, painfully cringe. So yeah, Aquaman the Lost Kingdom gets the thumbs down from me. If I was to give it a rating out of 10, probably about a 5.5 out of 10. It's probably being slightly generous. Probably about a 5.5 out of 10. I thought the third act was pretty engaging. I liked Orm's character development. This movie also had a very strong climate change, global warming message. Now, I do care about the environment. I'm not a climate change activist, but I do care about the environment. But if you know a climate change activist, then by all means, recommend them this movie, because it does get very preachy about climate change, global warming. So if you know any climate change activists by any chance, yeah, by all means, recommend it to them. I actually saw this movie for free. I didn't actually spend a single cent on this movie. I had a free ticket, so yeah, I didn't feel ripped off in any way at all, because yeah, I saw it for free. But yeah, would not recommend. The first Aquaman, I'd probably give about an 8 out of 10. I actually really enjoyed the first Aquaman. This one, yeah, about a 5.5 out of 10. Not very good. Don't waste your time, don't waste your money. But yeah, I hope you guys had a good Christmas, and stay tuned for more out-of-theatre reviews and other content very soon. Okay, take care, everyone. All the best, and stay safe. Bye.